Hello, everyone, and welcome to this commentary webinar focusing on the maximization of ROI and the introduction of some best practices for CI platform adoption. My name is Christian Björser. I'm the SVP of Customer Success at Commentary. And today I have one of my colleagues with me with a lot of experience in this field, Sune Jørgensen. A couple of words from you before we go into the agenda. Who are you and why are you here?
Yes, thanks, Christian. So first of all, I am a senior consultant working within Christian's group within customer success, driving the growth and the adoption of our customers at Commentally. Prior to that, I've done a lot of work both on the customer side, which means working with companies like yours for the better part of the last 20 years, also competing against Commentally in various companies. And eventually I joined up with them because they just provided solid technology and had a concept I really enjoyed working within. So based on those many projects, it's probably plus 200, 250 projects over the last 20 years. We really want to emphasize on the different initiatives to drive adoption. And so hopefully we can share those experiences with you during different business cases and give you some inspiration about how to elevate your whole platform experience. So hope we can achieve that during this session.
I'm sure we're gonna be able to do something very interesting, considering again your vast experience in this field, and we are very happy to have you joined us after and been with us now for several years. And I can't think of anyone better than you to do this webinar. Let me before we start off, let's just give an overview of the agenda. So this is what we're going to talk about. We have kind of 5 segments, and we're going to start off with the premises of creating a successful market and competitive intelligence projects, kind of at the sort of at the foundation of what we need to do in order to achieve any type of return on investment. Then we will go into the techniques of spreading adoption of intelligence tools. Of course, that is also another key factor in building the ROI, is actually to adopt and use the systems. But then we will enter into a little bit more of a discussion on what is ROI and in-market and competitive intelligence. I think that everyone that's joining us today probably has wrestled a little bit with this, with the concept of ROI. How can you do it in an effective way and in sort of in a tangible way? We are in our industry not unique, but we are a little bit different than maybe some places that are a lot more straightforward when it comes to ROI calculations. And in that spirit, we're also gonna do some introduce you to some key metrics on how to track your platform and the success and performance of that system. And then there's going to be a sort of a roundup at the end with some pro tips, and we have user driven here because that's very important to bring to the table. In the interest of maximizing the value of your CI investment. So the full agenda for today. So just let's dig into it.
Okay, Christian, I'll take over from here. When discussing the premises of creating a successful market and competitive intelligence project, we just need to recognize that you all have very different, backgrounds. You come from different places. You are situated in very different companies. Some of you have done this for many years. You're very experienced in managing and developing, offering a intelligence platform to your users within your organizations. Others are just embarking on this journey, trying to create the framework for introducing such a platform and such information services within your organization. And some of you have not yet touched upon building those. You also have different resources available. You have different scope of your strategic goals, either catering for the entirety of an organization, spanning hundreds or even thousands of employees, or you might be very focused within one or two business units, driving growth within the organization. So, given the circumstances that you all have different backgrounds and work in different capacities within the organization, we thought about, well, picking the most user-driven experiences that can be applied anywhere in any company at any situation. So that's sort of the premises of doing this presentation. Now, if we are to look at what a successful market and competitive intelligence platform is, it's basically like, and I'll just quote this, the success of market and competitive intelligence platform is like succeeding in marriage. So you need to constantly think about this as a marriage with your users, with your key stakeholders. You constantly have to work hard, building, adjusting, compromising, reinventing the tool and your information services, redoing if it doesn't fit the needs, and in many times overdoing because you need to commit them to actually sustaining that commitment to your platform. And you need to be on top of everything, basically. So very much like a marriage, we all have tried that. It's not easy, it's hard work. The foundation is really good communication, timely communication, and meeting each other's expectations. So in marriage, we need to compromise and we need to indulge in communication. Sometimes we even need to do something we don't want to do, but that's just life. And the same goes for building, sustaining, developing, growing a market and competitive intelligence market. So have that in mind when we go through the webinar today. Now, if we can achieve these three basic aims, that's really a good foundation for actually creating that successful project. And many actually fail to do so. So the first important thing, whether you already have a system up and running or you're about to build one, is really to align your strategy, your vision of what you're about to do for your users. Align it with your key stakeholders, primarily your sponsor, because that is the most important person or group of stakeholders approving or cutting your budget. So you need to say, what is the strategy for the next period? What do we need to achieve in order to be successful? Align that with the key stakeholders and have them commit to this is what we're going to do. Then you have a very targeted approach and a focused approach to your activities going forward. Get that handshake. That's important. And what we see the most is actually not the lack of engagement with your users, with the ones you need to actually provide intelligence to, but sometimes we skip that quite easily and quite fast in order to just build excellent software and information services. But you really need to just dig into the conversation with them, commit them, make it personal. If we can make that personal connection, just like we do in our marriage, we have a stronger foundation for building something together going forward. Now, this notion I will exemplify over and over again during this webinar, but it's just so critical, vital, that we always cater for the needs and the changing needs of our customers within our organization. And the third part is, if you're not already one, then you need to become a marketeer. So what is a marketeer? Well, it's basically a mix of being a salesperson and a marketing manager. You need to sell your product. we quite often forget that we build something beautiful. At least that's how we think it is, and then we make it available. But that's only half of the journey. We really need to sell it, just like anyone selling cars needs to, you know, get the need of the buyer, convert it into a sales pitch, and then drive that conversation over time. Become that marketeer, and remember that it's sometimes a very different hat you need to put on, but over the longer run, it will sustain the commitment from your users because they get that promotional notification from you saying, hey, please go attend this, see this, this is new, and that will drive adoption over time. But it's something that we rarely say out loud we need to become. It's just so critically important that we, in any given circumstances, when we interact with users, have that marketeer approach. So take that to heart.
You make
Now,
a very good point there, Sune. Just a question there. I mean, you've seen a lot of these projects, and we're going to see some excellent example of people who actually got it right. But what do you think? Because this is kind of the first where we are. This is actually the phase where everything can go in the wrong direction if you're not attuned to this alignment of strategy. But what would you say is the kind of the most common that you've seen, the kind of common failures being done here? Is it kind of, is it in the sort of marketing phase, or is it that you're just not listening or understanding the strategy and thus are not is not able, you're not able to align it? Kind of, is there a more common error to be made here or not?
I think in well, you need to divide it into different topics. So
Mhm.
definitely alignment with your sponsor and your key stakeholders in terms of sustaining the project over time, in terms of sustaining budget for content, for platform, for software, etc. That's so important to have that done and check in that regular with the user. Don't just
Mm.
do it once a year when you reach that time of budget talks. Do it consistently over
Yep.
time to adjust, align that because you really want to commit them to it. You also want to grow um, a closer relationship with users over time. So one of the biggest mistakes we see when we talk about failed projects is the misalignment with what we deliver and what the users are actually requesting, demanding.
Mm.
Um, and again, you know, when we buy stuff online, we most often have to tick off this box of getting
Yep.
promotional emails. So if we do the same, send them something once in a while that reminds them about what we offer. That again creates that incentive to go visit us. And if we then bring something that actually meets expectation, well, hey,
Mm.
that's just awesome because we can actually bring value to them. So communication and that customer alignment is
Mm.
one of the most important thing in terms of going from the introduction phase through adoption and growth. Um, we really need to be aware of that, and that's
Mm.
probably the biggest missing piece of thought process from a
Right.
marketing competitive intelligence manager. Um, Now, we have a question on the screen, and that is
Mm.
what techniques have you successfully implemented to encourage platform adoption? So if you have any good best practice examples, please add them to the Q&A, and we'll talk about them a bit later. It will only benefit this conversation, and we as software providers also need to, you know, just piggyback on your experiences. It's so important. And these techniques that we're about to talk about is actually real case example. So it's not, I mean, we've driven the conversation and we've helped them build those, but it's real case customer driven examples of how to just implement new initiatives very easily done, sometimes to encourage this widespread adoption of your information services. Now, just to make it clear, sometimes I say information service, sometimes it's platform, but in all it's what you offer of intelligence services to your users, whether it's in a platform or an alert or report or whatever. So, it's the greater good of the value you create for them. Now, in the interest of time, we've just chosen 6 different techniques. We have a catalog of, I don't know, 50. And so at any time, we can talk about that in one-to-ones. It's going to be a pleasure for us explaining what can be done. But let's just go through these techniques and exemplify them. Hope they will be an inspiration to you. In some cases, you might already have done those. So that will only um sort of validate your approach in creating adoption within your platform. Now, the number one thing is basically to make every person feel like they are the most important ones in the platform. And if you work within a company of with hundreds or thousands of employees, that's not possible. We know that, but then you need to go select strategically the right person to talk to, and you need to talk to those users both pre-launch, mid-launch, and post-launch, and then over time, over and over again. And what we typically do when we create this, well, at Commentator, we call it a need assessment blueprint, where we document the needs. We quite often say, what do you want? What is it that the users want? Well, they want to monitor these competitors. They want to monitor these customers, these topic of interest, these industry sources, and these trusted industry organizations. And then we say, okay, fine, let's add them to the topic map and start classifying. Now, quite often, I mean, that's fine, but we fail to go a step beyond that. So if we, on top of saying, what do you want, ask, why do you want it? That brings context to the whole discussion about what we need to find for them. So why is we need this because of that? Okay, it gives us more info to actually building a solid topic map. Why do you not want this? Allows us to remove information, increasing relevancy and quality in what we deliver. When do they want it? Well, it's not necessarily every day. It might be every week, once in a while, every quarter. Where do we want it? Well, is that within the platform? Is it in an alert, a report? Do we even have to go to the length of creating something very bespoke for you? Again, if you apply these why, when, where, how questions, you just connect better with your audience. They feel heard, they feel appreciated, you spend time with them. And so you create that bond that also goes your way, you commit them. And ideally, you create ambassadors that will help you adjust, develop, extend your services over time. That's so important. Just one real case example. We worked with a Norwegian bank some time ago, and we actually spent 6 months building this project. And after 2 months asking, what do we want, we could see in our test deliveries that we were just not getting or delivering what they wanted. So when asking why, we could see, okay, we need to adjust, and then we adjusted. We wouldn't have adjusted if we had just asked, what do we want, and then continued. And then we went on and said, well, where do we want it? Okay, it needs to be not only within the system, but actually different integrations into other third-party technologies. And during that phase of the 6 months, we actually created a playbook consisting of 30 pages, detailing not only what do they want, but when do they want it and where do they want it. So the offset when actually launching was just so much more profound, consolidated within their needs and demands for consuming intelligence. And I'm quite sure it made a huge difference in aligning the needs of the users with what we provided, which is just a testament to why we need to engage pre-launch, mid-launch, and post-launch with as many users as possible. Of course, it's always a fight for resources. So it's just one important notion.
One thing there, Sunil, just to make a
Yeah,
quick comment, I think it's uh, also when you talk about where, um, that has also been one good thing that we, with the advancement of technologies, is of course that it's much easier now to do those things that you mentioned. The integration with other third-party softwares, maybe a CRM system for the sales people, or other systems in the company can be done very seamless today, and was kind of a hassle before. So again, I think that we are a little bit in favor here because the technology has advanced to a better place now to help us do that.
yeah, definitely. I mean, the plug and play availabilities are so greater today than
Mhm.
previously. So you really need to have that mindset about not only providing something for users, but also providing something for other in-house technologies or services that are used across organizations. That's a really good um, key takeaway from that point as well. Uh, this one, creating one bespoke information service that you push to everyone, it's actually a favorite of mine. It's so easily done, and especially when you launch a system, you really want to get the awareness of what you're doing out there. So if you just spend 30 minutes a week compiling an alert, and we need to be aware, bespoke and push is very important here. You need to create one bespoke alert of something that is for the greater good of the entire company. That might be difficult, but let's say it's a key competitor acquiring a new company, or them introducing a new product that will compete against your top selling product. Or it might be your CEO having an interview in a magazine saying something good about your company. Those are all important articles that anyone in your organization should find of interest. And if you then push it out to everyone, say, I'm going to create this one weekly alert that I push out, find the 3, 5, max 10 articles, and send them out internally or externally, you have traction from day one. Now, again, it's just the reminder of when you get all these promotional emails, okay, once a week, I get something from you, and it's vetted, relevant information. So why won't you do it? Sometimes you need to ask permission, but if the senior management is included in those articles that you submit, the likelihood of them actually allowing it is much greater because they also want the exposure to the organization. So keep that in mind. Um, we did this for a big Danish pharma company 18 years ago, actually. So it's a long-running customer. We created one alert for, at that time, 5,000 employees, and it has grown to 30,000 employees now. It's so sticky within the entire organization that because it caters to everybody. And based on that one 30-minute task every week, it has then exploded into, well, plus 500 either automatically published or manually published alerts, newsletters, and reports over time. So the success of starting small but very high quality drives growth and adoption. If they find this relevant, they want more and they will come to you. And then you can do this mix of push and pull services, but you need to start somewhere. And it's just a very easy way of getting everyone's attention. And so yearly, this company now delivers more than 7 million specific services to some 50,000 employees worldwide. And the stickiness of this is unparalleled. They cannot be replaced by any AI-driven automated service because they interact with users, compile these deliverables based on user-driven needs, and send them out. But you need to start somewhere, start small, but cater to everyone. Very important. Then you have traction. And again, If you want to sustain your operation, do something special for the senior management. It might sound like something that, yeah, of course, but it's actually quite important because senior management quite often approve or cut your budget. So can we create the tension within that group that you deliver something of value? Well, then that dependency stays forever. Even in hard times where your company is pressured by external circumstances or you have more red numbers than green numbers, well, you will stick because they find your services of value. And also, the senior management is high impact influencers. They will drive the conversation to drive the adoption. If they say, you need to read this because I read it, the likelihood of others doing the same is far greater than you just saying, please go read this. So that's why you need to include them. And we did a fintech business case. It was a German company, quite a large one, where we did a key opinion leader monitoring, and we included the senior management. So the entire group of senior management were then included in what was mentioned about them and their peers across the industry in a weekly report. Everybody read it because they wanted to see what they mentioned, where some of the other guys mentioned, and why. It almost became a competition of how many times can I be mentioned. And it became a priority to read it. And so we went there, did it, got instant commitment from senior management. And then based on that, we actually created what they call 5-3 strategic topic tracker, which is FaceTime every quarter with the management group, where we monitor the 5 most important topics for their 3-year strategy plan. And we present the data, our key findings within those topics about how to drive the strategic growth 3 year ahead. We don't get that often. I mean, us as analysts having FaceTime for 2 hours a quarter with the senior management, not dictating, but giving them our take about the strategic approach for the future. That is creating stickiness. That's quite good. So can we impact senior management? By all means, go there. And similarly, with our 4th initiative, drive the future growth of your company. If we can go in there and become a decisive factor in driving growth, we're not just a support function for whatever function there is within the company. We are a strategic initiative that drives growth. Create that dependency of your services within those functions that are irreplaceable within your organization. And it's especially within business development, mergers and acquisitions, the strategy group, or research and innovation. I just have an example here. It's one of the great ones. So for a German company working within water management, we built this business case. We selected the 500 across the entire world, the 500 most relevant companies that they would most likely acquire or collaborate with. And based on a monitoring where we said if these companies are mentioned in relation to a complex list of keywords, we add them to what we call diamond targets. And we send this email out every day to all business developers in the company. They would know on a daily basis if some small company had a major breakthrough with their products, doing desalination or doing some kind of filtration for water management, that made it interesting for them to acquire that company. So that was just picking those movements at a very early stage. And based on the business developers' flagging of articles, we then populated a more high-end product service that went to management on a weekly basis. So our business developers became our analysts. flagging articles that would then go to the senior management. And when they found a target that they wanted to look into, they needed to do the due diligence. Okay, well, since we already monitored those comments, we could provide a full archive of all relevant activities mentioning these targets over time. And so we became the #1 repository for the mergers and acquisition and strategic collaboration divisions in doing the due diligence for what was about to be the future of the company. And then over time, we added tech transfer officers from universities. That's where all the innovation happened. And the stickiness of this is unparalleled. The entire budget for the growing market and competitive intelligence department is now funded by this project alone. And I bet you if that ends, management will just go crazy because they depend on the daily as well as the weekly updates. So creating that stickiness, particularly within your organization, is just important. Similar to catering for the senior management team, if we can do this, we drive adoption. And those success stories here will only inspire others to also come on board. Now that's the 5th point. You need to promote your platform wins and success stories because you need to inspire. This is the hard part. You need to inspire the laggard to actually come on board. We have the front runners, we have the early adopters, but the majority of the organization is the laggard. Those saying, yeah, I don't need that information or I don't need to contribute. Well, we need them to make a convincing business case. And so you need to constantly promote your platform wins. You need to constantly remind them about what they can achieve by visiting your platform, by consuming your intelligence. So create that marketing plan, promote that platform, honor the success stories. Now, a great example is an enzyme business. It's actually the biggest enzyme manufacturer worldwide. When they launched the system, they bought cake for everybody. Spent some of the budget on that. So that created immediate attention about this. Okay, well, that was just one-off. That's forgotten in a couple of weeks. Then they champion their intelligence community. So they basically introduce gamification into the platform, honoring the intelligence champion yearly. That is the one person that contributes the most, that is most active in both driving the conversation within their intelligence space and contributing with their own intelligence for the greater good of the system. And they also do a monthly promotion, giving Amazon gift card to those new ones who then start contribute to the intelligence community. And what's most important is they send this to management saying, hey, Jeff and Jim and Karen, they did good here. They are now recognized as being our monthly champions or our yearly champion. And so that goes up the ladder. And who doesn't want to get that recognition from the ones leading the people? Everybody wants that. Now, in order to do this, they integrate feedback loops within the platform. So the users can actually connect with the analysts through the platform. That's important. They even have a picture and a profile for each of the admins. So that visible face time and the personalization of the platform is increased. And again, it goes to the analogy of having this commitment as a marriage. You need to become relevant. You need to be personal in your commitment to your users. I mean, it's not a good marriage if you don't talk together, if you're not face to face in your dialogue. So that's just a small thing that creates commitment. And then they do half-year surveys. that is pushed out to every participant, and they have ambassador interviews with those who they truly know will contribute. Now, this ambassador program is actually something that we can talk about for a long time. It's very important to create that, especially if you are a large organization. Um, but the commitment in promoting and marketing the platform wins and success stories important to sustaining growth over time. And lastly, reinventing yourself, adding something new to the platform at least once a year, preferably, you know, twice a year, 4 times a year, every month, depends on your resources. But adding something new will make you current. Might be a new topic dashboard. It might be just the front page getting new, a graphical overhaul. But something new is always refreshing. Um, and if you can commit your users to that, well, that's even better. Sorry. So what we did not that long ago, we had a customer, one of the biggest consulting companies worldwide, and they introduced a Kaizen box. That's a Japanese concept of incremental improvement that are user driven, comes from the employees, invented by I think Toyota back in the days. And we invented that box within the platform for anyone to come up with a new topic that would serve the greater good of our intelligence community. And we got 0 recommendation. Then we asked the CEO to say, this is important. And we will now introduce the Intelligent Officer of the Year reward, which is a diploma that is hung up in the reception of the HQ of the company for the entire year. Then they get the flowers as well. But that created this massive inflow of suggestions. Now they receive more than 200 suggestions a year. And based on the user-driven concepts of how to work better with information or how to integrate other parts of intelligence services into their platform, they drive change, renewal all the time. They probably invent something new every second month, but lesser can do it as long as you do that on a recurring basis. You need to always be on top of your company. Your company is evolving, and so should your services. So that's just the last reminder of a good initiative. Always reinvent your services. Again, we have so many other initiatives we can talk about, and it all comes down to also what are you doing, what are available to you, and what's your strategic path in doing this. So let's have that
Sune,
one-on-one. Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Sune, we got to knock off some questions here before you go into the next section. We have a few, we try to be for respectful of time here. So I know you want to talk a lot about these things, but let's try to be make it short and sweet when
Yes.
answering them. So the first one I've got here is, can you tell us how to get users involved in the intelligence project? I find it difficult to engage with them and have them find time to talk.
Yes. Uh, it's difficult. By far, it's so difficult because you need to create that commitment. Now, if you show genuine interest, if you take the time to actually cater for their needs and not only ask what do you need, but why, when, how, that again creates a mutual understanding of you actually wanting to achieve something greater good for them. But so you need to go that extra length of doing it. Then you need to do it timely. So when you make a promise, a secret handshake about doing it, you need to deliver on time as promised. If you can deliver something that they perceive as valuable, you also get their commitment, their time. So being very truthful, also saying no to requests is actually honoring a shared bond between the two of you or you and the group. that eventually will, um, you know, create trust within you and the team, and that trust and mutual value, um, it's so important in sustaining a good relationship.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
that's the best way to answer that question.
Yeah, at least in this short time period that we have. Let's go on to the next one. It's a more tangible one. Are you actively participating in implementing these initiatives with your customers? Can you show us the actual techniques to incorporate them, not just describe them conceptually?
Yeah, sure. And that's a case by case thing we need
Hmm.
to do. Now, what we have done over the last half year, Christian, is uh, create and promote what we call commonly our professional services, which is actually us going more in depth into working as
Yeah.
advisors with you guys in creating these initiatives, detailing what can be done to elevate your services. So we quite often do that. Um, simply conceptualizing what we can achieve with the resources and the strategy available with each customer, and then we go help you guys. So it's what we do on a regular basis.
Mm. And of course, if anyone wants more information about that, we're here, and I know Sune, you love to talk about these things in more detail. So yes, please reach out to us. Third one, last one I have for now. Hopefully there will be more as we go along. But we do a survey once a year, but we have little traction in our response rate. How can we increase participation and quality of answers? This one I
Yeah,
think we see quite a lot. This
yeah. It's so frustrating creating a nice survey and nobody answers it. So
yes.
what's really is important here is a commitment again, especially if it's driven by some ambassador within the different teams. So if you can reach that stage where you strategically have different ambassadors that are trusted colleagues working within different parts of the organization, you can have them drive the need for participating. That's so important. You cannot do it yourself, especially if you're a large organization. You need the help of others that are situated in those departments and groups to drive your interest. So, yes, the concept of building ambassador groups, we should talk more about if you have this challenge, because that's one of the best ways to get traction in the number of replies regarding surveys.
Hmm.
And then we can add some other stuff that makes it more interesting. It's all about what's in it for me when filling out this survey. We have some initiatives we can apply there as well to make it more interesting, more value driven for the users. But it's, yeah, it would probably take 20 minutes to fully explain what you can do.
And we sure don't have those 20 minutes right now.
I
So
know, I know. It's a
yeah,
great question though, because
it is.
it's so
It's a very
relevant.
good
Yeah,
question. It is a very good question. So thank you for that. Okay, that's the one I have for now.
perfect. I'll just continue because we only have 12 minutes left. Now, just quickly about the return of investment in your CI investment or within your platform. It's so difficult to measure the return of investment in marketing competitive intelligence. That space is simply tricky. It's impossible to turn this intelligence you provide into a monetary measurement. You can try it, but it's I've never seen it done convincingly and with an outcome that would support your effort. So don't go there. Don't try to create an index number that will, with that number in itself, be a convincing business case that what you're doing creates value. It will never happen. Instead, replace this return of investment with KPIs, and then just recognize that in terms of defining the return of investment in the intelligence space, we need to really look at the tangible and intangible measurements. And so what are those? Well, we divide them into hardcore metrics. So hardcore metrics could be whatever you can pull out of statistics from the platform. Now, this is just some of the statistics we can pull out of intelligence per day, and it gives a very good representation of the activity over any given time. Number of registered users, number of logins, how many have read these articles, how many have shared them, commented, saved them, have they created personalized alerts, searches, etc., etc. How many clicks on the articles we publish, etc., etc. So yes, by all means, these are very supportive measurements when you need to track platform performance. And surely you can use this as indicators for the health and success of your platform as a business case. But it can never stand alone. You need to have these, what we call soft measurements in place, where you say, okay, overall, have we achieved the goals over time that we aligned with our sponsor? Might be. So what can those goals be? Well, it can be some of the hardcore measurements, but over time it can also be, let's increase the engagement by 20%. And let's say that in one of our business cases, we provided intelligence that made it possible to make this acquisition of this company that now drives, a multi-million dollar branch. Well, we provided that data to make them convinced about buying them. How do you measure that? It surely is valuable, but can we really take the honor for that? I mean, yes, we can actually do it by providing the success stories and adding that to a report where we combine it with our feedback loops of the impressions and the comments made by our users out there. So it's not just about adding hardcore numbers. It's really about when you want to track platform performance and you want to evaluate the return of investment with your CI activities, about combining statistics with convincing data descriptions about what you bring to the table across the entire organization, delivering data that they turn into insightful decisions that drive growth. Now, this is actually something that we can talk about for a long time. And just to show you what we've done, we also have a white paper displaying this. I think I'll just stick to the fact that it's not easy to measure the return of investment. It takes so many different parameters to do that over time. And in order to be convincing, well, you need to have both the hardcore measurements as well as the soft measurements. I'll just show you a convincing. So this is one of previous report that was made by an analyst team displaying some of the statistics over time. Now, this is done like a marketing report, but just elevating to that level creates a more professional feeling of, okay, this is actually, meaningful. It's beautifully laid out. It's something that any senior management would look at and say, okay, it's quite impressive what you've done over time. And this is just some pages of a 24-page long report detailing the commitment to the organization that they did over 1 year. Lots and lots of both hardcore as well as soft measurements goes into this report that will inevitably grant the extension of the budget, the activity.
And I think one thing there, Suna, that's very important, of course, and I like this KPI approach. I think it's very good. But I also think I mean, do reach out to us if you want to have some help in setting these up, because there are some things that you need to consider, because some might look kind of counterproductive towards each other. Because if you might have a sort of low number of logins, but you have a large number of alerts. That is not necessarily, that could actually be a sign of success, meaning that your users are getting their intelligence without having to enter the platform, and then basically they are in a good place. Um, but of course, it could also mean that you need to do something with your platform. So it's important to not only have that soft, sort of hard measurements, but you need to contextualize it with the soft ones, and that can, as you say, soon be tricky. But we've done that for quite some time. So let us know if you have any questions, and we'll be happy to help.
Yeah, no, I haven't cracked the nut yet. I guess nobody has.
Mhm.
It's just extremely difficult, and it needs to be on a case to case.
Yeah, no one shoe fits all here,
Yeah,
definitely.
exactly, exactly. So, I mean, let's just spend a couple of minutes just summarizing what's important to drive adoption and to really maximize the investment you do within your intelligence space. Now, these 6 initiatives, you know, hopefully they can be applied instantaneously by you if you have the time resources available, and if you have not already done them. Um, More importantly, and I don't think we have time to cover these subjects, but it's just again some tips. Consolidate as many data points within your system, because that's gonna be uh, where everybody would go to find information going forward. Be that one-stop shop of connecting different external, internal, proprietary data points, drives within your platform. If you do that, everyone will come to you for that information. You can create some great products and information services, especially with the rise of AI just cutting through the vast amount of data and creating these new insightful um, services like, you know, search assistants or um, well, I can't even remember what we call it, Christian, conversational AI services.
Yeah.
Um,
Generative AI
yeah,
through
exactly.
conversational AI. I think this is a very important. I mean, a lot of CI functions are actually. We should do a webinar on this because a lot of CI function are sitting on a virtual gold mine when it comes to AI initiatives within the companies. Clearly structured, vetted information that can be used for company initiatives within the AI area. That is something that everyone should explore. But that's a separate webinar, I think.
Yeah, but it's so important because what we can see today is that surely market intelligence or business analysts are hired, but companies hire data scientists even more
Yeah.
to drive the AI investment. So if you can actually be part of that
Yes.
project going forward, you need to make your services available for the AI investment and for the AI products. That's where, again, you create a dependency on what many companies now consider the future of investments within analysis. You simply need to become that sticky part.
Hmm.
Otherwise, you'll take a back seat of whatever drive the intelligence community within your organization going forward. We can talk a lot about how mature AI is, but no doubt that over time it will be in the forefront of just about anything that any employee does within your organizational framework. So, I mean, let's do a webinar, Christian,
Yeah.
about how you position yourself in the AI space going forward.
I think
Uh,
we can show some great examples of that as well
yeah, definitely, definitely.
in a month or two.
Yeah. Okay, Christian, in the interest of time,
Hmm.
Um, I think, I mean, we have a lot of pro tips, but I kind of just added them if we were short on, we have time enough, but it seems like we don't. Um,
We got 3 more minutes, so
yeah, I think what I'll just briefly touch upon then is brand your platform. You know,
hmm.
everybody knows MoMA. I don't even know what it is. A museum in New York. I know it's
Yeah.
MoMA, you know, and everybody knows it. The swoosh, everybody knows it. Here are seven if you like football or if you're young enough to know Ronaldo. Well, they brand their product, so it becomes a household name. And so thinking like a marketeer, you need to do the same, or it just elevates the whole experience. Um, Become recognizable within your organization and create that special attention to the marketing and promotion initiatives that drives the engagement from your users. That is what ultimately drives adoption and growth. And you can find a way to create a logo anywhere online for free. So just do that. It's a simple thing that just creates a you know a better user experience because it is a branded platform. Or you can just call it intelligence today. I mean, we would be honored if you were to do so.
For
But
sure.
getting that distinct branding, it's just important.
Everyone, it's been great. Thank you, Sune, for guiding us through this.
Thanks, guys. Take care.